Video we'll be looking at the second part of expanding brackets. We're still on expanding single brackets, but these are slightly different because we have a number and a letter outside of the bracket. So before we move on, we still need to be using our rules for multiplying integers since we're expanding brackets. But a few things I wanted to point out beforehand is because we have a letter outside of the bracket as well as inside of the bracket, we need to know what we get when we multiply different letters together. So say we are multiplying x and 2x, we will have an answer of 2x squared. If we had 3x multiplied by y, our answer would be 3xy. That's just how it would be. If we had 5x multiplied by negative y, we now have a positive term multiplied by a negative term. Using our rules, we would get a negative term. So our final answer would be 5xy, but it'd be negative 5xy. So moving on now, we have our first example. We are expanding what's on our screen. So before we start, we're doing this in a visual way. So just to show you what it looks like, I'm just going to start off. That side we will call 3x, so that's what's outside of our bracket. And the final side will be 2x plus 4. So we are going to split the top length in 2x and 4. With expanding brackets, we are multiplying, so all we are going to do is multiply what we have there. So we start off with 3x multiplied by 2x, which will give us 6x squared. And then we have 3x multiplied by 4, which will give us 12x. So our final answer now would be 6x squared plus 12x. And we have that just from this image. Checking that this is correct, we could do the same thing using our expanding bracket. So we multiply whatever's on the outside of the bracket by everything inside the bracket one by one. So we're going to start off with 3x multiplied by 2x, which is 6x squared. And then we have 3x multiplied by 4, which will give us an answer of 12x. These two are the same thing, so we can use either representation to get to our final answer. Moving on to example 2 now, we are going to use algebra tiles as we have in the previous video. So we have negative 2x outside of the bracket. So this is how we're going to set it up. We will have two tiles of negative x's. And inside the bracket we have negative 4x plus 3. So we will have 4 negative x tiles and 3 tiles of 1. As we are expanding brackets, we are going to multiply out what we have on our table. So we start off with negative x multiplied by negative x. We have two negative terms that we are multiplying together. We will get a positive answer. So that will be just a positive x squared, and that would be the case across. So I'm just going to fill those in since all of these are negative x multiplied by negative x. Now we have negative x multiplied by 1, so it's a negative term multiplied by a positive term, which will give us a negative answer. So the answer would be negative 1x, but in algebra we just write negative x. So I'm going to fill those in. Now we are ready to collect our like terms, so we are going to start off by collecting our x squared terms. Counting those up, that would give you 8x squared, so I'm just going to write that out. So that's 8x squared. And now collecting our final like terms, which are our negative x's. And we have 6 lots of those, so our answer will be away 6x. That is our final answer. When we expand that bracket, it will be 8x squared, take away 6x. Moving on to example 3 now, we're still going to use our algebra tiles. We have an x term outside of our bracket, so that's one tile, that's x. Inside of our bracket we have negative 2x plus 2y, so that is 2 negative x terms and 2 y terms. still expanding brackets, so we are going to multiply out what we have on our table. X multiplied by negative x, which will give us a negative x squared. X multiplied by negative x is negative x squared again. So remember, negative term and a positive term, when you multiply those, you will get a negative term. Now we have x multiplied by y, which is just xy, and x multiplied by y again, which is xy. Now we are going to collect the like terms, so we start off with negative x squared terms, and that we have two lots of that, so it'll be negative 2x squared, and then we collect our final like terms, which is xy, and we have two lots of those, so it will be add 2xy. And that is our final answer. We can use our way of expanding brackets the way that we have seen before, which is you multiply the term outside of the bracket by everything inside of the bracket 1 by 1. So doing that, starting with x multiplied by negative 2x, we will have an answer of negative 2x squared. And then we have x multiplied by 2y, we carry the addition through, and that will give us an answer of 2xy. And here we have the same answer, so we could represent it either way, you will still get to the same final answer. Moving on to example 4 now, so we have 5x multiplied by 4x, take away 4y. This example I'm just going to purely use what we were just using in the final example at the end. So to expand brackets, we are multiplying whatever's on the outside of the bracket by everything inside of the bracket 1 by 1. So we start off with 5x multiplied by 4x. Start with the numbers. 5 times 4 is 20. X times x is x squared. And we are finished for the first term. And then the final term, we have 5x multiplied by 4y. So we have subtraction that carries through. 5 times 4 is 20 again. X multiplied by y is xy. And that is our final answer. We could again represent it using the algebra tiles if we wanted to. We will still get the same answer, it's just a different way of doing it. So now what I want you to do is pause the video. There's a few questions on your screen and I want you to try them as quickly as you can. So I want you to pause the video now. Right, answers are going to appear on your screen. So mark what you have done. I just wanted to point out the answer for part C. So for part C, we wouldn't write WA add W squared, because remember, we need to write the letters in alphabetical order. So like they have done here, they have written it as AW add W squared. So we wouldn't write WA, we would write AW. So now I have set the second task has been set on expanding single brackets, and this is part 2, which is the final part for single brackets. I want you to go over there and answer the questions that have been set for you, and I will go through the answers at a later time.